Alright, I've been looking forward to making this video. Today we're going to cut the back off of this thing so it's finally going to start to look like a pickup truck and people are going to be able to better understand what my plans are for this thing. So let's get into it. But before we get started on that, I want to replace the rocker panels on this thing. There's a little bit of rust on the undersides here, so I'm going to put new rockers on it. I've already gone ahead and replaced the inner rocker panel because that was a little rusty too. You can see in here. I didn't show any of that on camera because it was pretty boring. It's just a straight piece of metal that I welded in place. But now the outside's ready to be done, so I guess I'll show you that. All right, if you look up under here, you can see there's a couple little holes just on the bottom of the rocker, and most of that's all covered up by the running board, but I'm gonna cut that out and replace it anyway. Okay, look at that. We got a brand new rocker panel sitting right here. Some assembly required. All right, that rocker's got a little curve in it, so I'm going to use this little dolly that I made to hammer a curve into the edge of this piece of sheet metal. The next step, we're going to put a brake in it right here. All right, you can see this is the side profile here, and we just put this brake in it. Now we got to make another brake right here. It's going to bend downward, and that's going to make the pinch weld. Here. Okay, just clean that thing up in the vise a little bit. This metal's pretty thick and it was pretty much pushing the limits of that brake in my biceps, so had to clean it up a little bit with the vise, but that was no big deal. But here you can see the side profile of this. And so this is gonna go right here. But if you look from the top, you can see that there's a curve in the rocker. So I need to put a curve in this piece, and in order to do that, I'm gonna make a few relief cuts in it and bend it and then weld it back together. All right, that's all welded up. You can see it's got a curve to it now if you look at it from the side. And this will line up perfectly with the body. Let me show you. And it's gonna go just like that. Okay, just ground down the welds. I'm gonna paint the inside of this in a little bit, but I'm gonna put this up here. The next thing I'm gonna do is cut this out so I can put this in its place. All right, I just cleaned this edge up and painted the back side of the rocker with a little bit of ash. Next thing we gotta do is weld it into place. All right, there's the rocker panel all welded in and ground down. If it seemed like I did that fast, or if I looked like I knew what I was doing, it's only because I had already did the passenger side the other day, so I knew exactly what to do when it came to this side. But now both rockers are fixed and all done. I did weld up the spot welds on the inside too. All these here. And that's the passenger side there. So now both rockers are done and we can get on to the fun stuff. Okay, the reason I did the rockers before I cut the back off of this thing is because, one, I want to put some bracing in here across the back before I cut it apart, and I needed something sturdy or solid to weld the bracing to, so that's why I did the inners. Plus, the next step after I cut the back off of this, I'm going to put the body on a frame, and once the frame is underneath it, you wouldn't be able to get to the inside of the rockers to replace that, so I figured I'd get that out of the way now. But now I'm going to cut some bracing to go across here and weld it in. Okay, it's braced. Now I just got to cut the back off. All right, measure once, cut once, or however that saying goes. Okay, there it is. Guess that wasn't for the faint of heart. If you got a weak stomach, it'll be okay, because it's gonna look better when it's done. Just trust me and trust the process, I guess. Okay, it's the next day. This thing is looking sweet. Now I just want to make the panels that are going to fill in this giant hole we just made. I'm going to get some sheet metal and we'll start on that. Okay, I just want to mark where the bend is going to start. Then I'm going to put this in a roller, curve it around the cab. Okay, this is gonna go right here. Now I just want to start marking it so I can start cutting this down so that we can get a slightly smaller piece. Okay, this is just a whole bunch of cut it, mark it, cut it until we get a smaller piece that's manageable. So I'm just going to mark this again and cut some more. Okay, after about an hour of marking and cutting, this is what I'm working with. Now I'm just going to tack this in place so I can mark the bottom of it. Okay, that's just temporary to hold it here. You can see this body line at the bottom. I'm going to create that next, so I just need to mark where that's going to go. Okay, just like on a modern pickup truck, the cab is multiple pieces, so this corner is going to be a piece, and I'm going to end it right here because that's where the seam was on the rumble seat, the back half of this car. So I'm gonna make this cab corner end right here, but I gotta put a brake in it. So I'm gonna mark this right now while it's on here. All right, I had to transfer the mark to the inside, but now I'm gonna put a brake right here. Okay, let me just plug in my powered bead roller. Just kidding, I don't have a powered bead roller, but I got a wife that's willing to get dirty, so she's gonna turn it while I bead roll it. Yep, just like that. So slow, so slow. Going. That's slow and steady. Keep going. Okay, we'll go the other way. Slow. That just made the little body line in the bottom down here. Okay, I'm going to tack this back into place so I can make the bottom of this panel. Okay, now that that's tacked into place, I'm going to make the panel that's going to come underneath the bottom of this. Basically just a little return and then down for a pinch weld. But I'm going to make this out of 2 pieces. I'm going to cut some cardboard and make a template and then weld it together. Okay, next I'm going to make the pinch weld part. It's going to come right here. Okay, there's what it looks like with the pinch weld on it. Now I'm going to cut the tacks off of this thing, fully weld the bottom of this, and then put it back on for good. Okay, here's a completed cab corner. Now I'm just going to weld this in place permanently. All right, I just got it tacked into place really good so that it won't go anywhere. When I finish weld it, I'm going to use the TIG, but I don't want to weld it until the other side and the middle are done. But this is what it looks like. It's pretty sweet to be able to go from a flat piece of sheet metal to an entire cab corner. I think it looks really good. Here's what it looks like. Yeah! All right, it's the next day. I got this all tacked into place last night. I'm super excited with how it's turning out. It's looking better than I expected it to. I've never made something as complicated as these cab corners before, and to make 2 of them that look exactly the same was even harder, but they turned out really good. I'm super happy with how they look. You can see it's got multiple curves to it. The side of the cab curves inward down here at the bottom, so it was incredibly hard to get that like just right and to actually look good, but it's turning out super nice. I'm super excited. Here's the other side. But next thing we got to do is fill in this giant hole in the middle, so we're going to make the rear panel now. Okay, I got my piece of sheet metal here. This is going to be the back of the cab wall, and this piece, the fitment and layout is going to be super important. So I'm going to have to be really accurate when I do this. So first I'm going to start laying out some of the cut lines and the bend lines on this piece of metal. Okay, I drilled some holes in the edges because those are going to be the flanges that I can spot weld to the other parts of the cab corners. It's just easier to drill the holes now versus after I break it in the brake. And then I got all my lines laid out, and it's pretty much rough cut. Next I'm going to put a bead in the bottom of it. That's going to be the body line, so that's next. All right, here's the back side of the panel. I had to straighten up these edges a little bit with a hammer and dolly, but it's ready to test fit and see if I did okay. It left this long on the top so I can trim it and fit. So it fits pretty good. All right, I've been struggling with this for quite some time, but I think I finally got it close enough to move on to the next part. I've been putting it in, marking it, taking it out, trimming it, putting it back in, remarking it, but I think it's fitting okay enough. But now I'm going to make the bottom of this where the pinch weld's going to go. Okay, I'm inside the back of the cab. This is that piece I just broke. It's going to go in here. Okay, just going to weld this in here. Okay, I took the panel out, finished welding it, and ground down this edge here. You can see it's got a nice curve to it. That's why I had to make this bottom piece a separate piece, because I wanted the back of the cab to have a little bit of curve to it. Anyway, it should be ready to go in for the final time so I can weld it into place permanently, but I'm going to put some etch on these edges here and on the cab corners so that they won't rust in the future. All right, dear Lord, please let this be the last time I got to put this in here. Okay, back on the inside, if you remember, I drilled all these holes in this flange right here, and these are the spot welds. I'm going to weld these up now. All right, I'm going to finish welding this entire thing out with the TIG because it'll be a lot softer weld. It'll be easier to grind down, and I'm going to grind the entire thing down, so I guess I'll see you in a little bit. All right guys, check this out. It's 100% complete. I finished welding it and ground all the welds down, did a little hammer and dolly in, but I got the entire back of this cab completely done. I'm super excited with how it looks. I was pretty nervous when I first started because I didn't actually think I was able to do this. I've never done anything as complicated as this before, but it turned out better than I expected. I'm just super happy with the way it looks. It's awesome. Anyway, hopefully now you can better visualize how it's going to look as a pickup truck now that we've got a pickup truck cab sitting here. I'm super excited about it. I think it looks freaking sweet. I don't know what I'm going to do next. It's probably going to be a little while before I make another video. I don't have an upload schedule here, so make sure you're subscribed so that you don't miss another episode. I'm probably going to put the body on the chassis next, but not sure yet. So as always, remember to watch out for more videos, and I'll see you next time.